The only game in the world where you can knock out your opponent and get awarded for it. I'm talking hits that will rattle your ancestors. From the tackles that fold players like cheap laundry, to the moment a legend got flattened. These are the hardest hits in rugby history. I'll begin with a lesson in whiplash. That's enough to make Anthony Joshua proud. It's the 2015 Six Nations, just months before the Rugby World Cup. Both England and France are looking to prove themselves real contenders this time. Let's face it, they used to suck. But just 24 minutes into the game, Jules Plisson, the French fly half, receives the ball. He thinks he has time, he thinks he has space. He is wrong. Courtney Laws doesn't just tackle him, he tries to unblock his sinuses from the outside. I mean, even Nigel said it was good, but the players didn't agree, and shit kicked off. Look at that head snap. Plisson's head arrived at the destination about 3 business days after his body. It was so hard. I'm pretty sure he forgot the French national anthem, but at least it explains why we haven't seen the guy on the big stage since. It was perfectly legal, perfectly timed, and perfectly devastating. The definition of man and bull. While Laws hit him with timing, our next entry hit with the force of an earthquake. And yeah, I really mean an earthquake. We scramble back into the archives for this title nugget, but it's 2003, and my guy Derek is the love child of South African rugby. He was the prime pick at 10 for the Springboks, and the hope of a nation was placed on his shoulders. Then he ran into a man literally called the Chiropractor. Why? Because he rearranges your spine. This time it's the World Cup, and Brian Lima sees an appointment opening up. I think I saw his soul leave his body, and as the commentator rightly said, he woke up from a quick nap. Halgar wasn't tackled, he was deleted from the timeline. And I guess Lima was like, that'll be $50 for the adjustment, mate. But all jokes aside, he did get up, finished the game, and survived. Now, speaking of tough, what happens when a caveman enters the chat? I'm talking about the caveman, Sebastian Chabal, a man who looks like he eats raw steak and chases cars for cardio. This time it's the All Blacks versus France, and Dan kicks the ball downfield, but instead of a back, the man fielding it was Chabal, and he knew only one way, forward. But standing in his way, the All Black mountain, Ali Williams, not your typical player. I mean, did Ali really think he was going to tackle Chabal? Really? And it might not have seemed bad, but just a few moments later, yeah, that's Ali getting some medical attention. It's the true definition of the bus is full. He hit him with the force of a falling piano. And look at Chabal's face. No emotion, just beard and violence. But sometimes a player just gets punished for his mistakes. The late, great Jerry Collins was a man made of granite. He wasn't just a player, he was a legend etched into the hearts of fans. But we head to a 2003 game between Wales and the All Blacks. Yeah, it seems like the All Blacks are a reoccurring theme. Colin Chavis, the Welsh captain, carries the ball. He runs upright, mistake number 1. He runs at my man Jerry, mistake number 2. Jerry hit him so hard that he basically turned into a rag doll. I ain't kidding, it was like gravity took a holiday. Chavis just lying there, out cold. But let's get serious, seeing a player stretchered off the field is never fun. At least he made a full recovery, unlike this next Springbok star. Now let me stop and give a little more context here. Patrick Lambie wasn't just another Springbok, he was the hope, the future, and the man supposed to be the first Andre Pollard. He was good, playing 50 caps for the Boks by his mid-20s and even a possible future Centurion. But one moment changed everything. It was 2016, a test match between South Africa and Ireland. The scores were tight, but 20 minutes in, this happened.
Pat Lambie hit hard and late by CJ Stander.
To this day, it is considered the worst tackle in rugby history. Lambie never played for the Boks again, and while he bounced around in club competitions in 2019, doctors told him that one more hit could end his life. But from the sadness of one Springbok to the power of another, there is a reason Bakkies was the original enforcer, unlike that Eben Etzebeth wannabe guy. I mean, you can't have a list full of big hits without the biggest villain in world rugby, Bakkies Botha. My man didn't play rugby, he played clear out the crime scene. Pick any ruck, any year between 2002 and 2014, and Bakkies was hitting it at Mach 10. But in this Super 14 game between the Bulls and Stormers, the Butcher took it one step too far.
Whoa, he took a sickening blow.
He hits poor Gio Aplon, a man literally half his size. It's like watching a semi-truck hit a bicycle. Bakkies didn't care about the ball, he just wanted to make sure the opposition remembered his name in their nightmares. But this didn't go unchecked. He didn't get a card on the field, but the big discipline boys at Rugby HQ handed him a lovely 4-week suspension after the fact. Now we've spoken about the defense. Sometimes it's the men on the offense that make the big hits, like Julian here. The story of Julian Savea is one with a tinge of sadness. I mean, in his later days, his boss at Toulon even asked for a DNA test, stating he wasn't the player they signed. But in his prime, they called him the bus, and for good reason. You simply don't tackle the bus. You hope you miss your stop. It's the 2015 Rugby World Cup, New Zealand versus France, or should I say, Savea versus France. 3 defenders try to stop him. He bumps one, he bumps the second, and runs through Noah like it was a hologram. It wasn't a hard hit in the traditional sense. It was a humiliation. Julian turned the defenders into bowling pins and made Cardiff his house. But sometimes it's the little guys with big hearts. When you think of a fly half, you'll be forgiven for seeing them as the quarterbacks of rugby. They're a pivot point between the backs and the forwards. They also control the game with the boot. Well, they used to until Rassie started his box kicking shit show. But Johnny was built different. He could kick drop goals in the World Cup final. He scored tries. But most importantly, he didn't back down from a tackle. And during the 2006 Nations at Stade de France, Wilkinson proved that. He flattened Untermatt.
And it's Wilkinson again. He's flattened Untermatt.
The tackle defined him as a man not to be messed with. But ask any Englishman which moment they hate the most, and they'll point to this one. Now, you might think English fans will hate that the Boks beat them twice in the World Cup final. It could be true, but years before they lost the 2007 World Cup final, an all-black truck hit Mike Cass so hard it almost changed his career. I'm talking about the original bus, or should I say tank, Jonah Lomu. Lomu wasn't just a rugby player, he was the man everyone feared. The first professional athlete of the sport. It's the 1995 Rugby World Cup, semi-finals, New Zealand versus England, but Lomu was on a different planet. He just walked over him, and it didn't stop there. It felt like no one wanted to tackle him anymore. 3 more tries to end up with a total of 4 in a World Cup semi-final. But if there's one man I wish to have seen tackle Lomu, it's this little arrogant fuck. We ask, what's the greatest rivalry in rugby? The Boks versus All Blacks? England versus France? Nah, ask any South African who they hate to lose to the most, and they'll tell you it's England. And in 2018, during the end of year tour, these 2 titans clashed at my favourite venue, Twickenham. The game was on a nice edge, England leading by a single point and time was up. But South Africa have the ball and my man Andre is looking to bash the roses until he ran into the English skipper, the second coming of Johnny Wilkinson.
It's on his shoulder. He's on a tackle.
And while everyone was debating the legality of it, Rassie was having some fun.
Shoulder shot or tackle? No, I'm joking. No, look, if it was a shoulder shot, the referee would have penalised him and we had a chance to win the game. It was a good tackle, well done, because I haven't seen Andre Estrada being tackled back like that in a while.
But all jokes aside, would you really want to play a rugby game if a player on the opposing side has a nickname like the Bone Collector? With a name like that, you know you aren't out here to make any friends. And Willem Alberts wasn't a man, he was a refrigerator with legs. I mean, 6'4", 265 pounds. He was a prop with the speed of a flanker. And in 2015, when a young Mark Richards made his Super Rugby debut, he was about to receive the perfect welcome. Faf kicks the ball, expecting a chase, and what does Richards do? He chases, but what happened next changed everything. You could feel it in the stadium, but even worse, you could see the concern on the coach's face. Alberts doesn't step, he doesn't swerve, he just plows into him. Fast asleep, as the commentator said, and a few years later he welcomes another South African in the same way. He's called the Bone Collector for a reason, but sometimes things just turn ugly. Let's face it, Richie McCaw is the greatest player of all time. 2 World Cups, 148 games, and a win rate of 88%. That's not just numbers, that's numbers that will never be achieved again. He was the biggest pain in the Springbok ass for the best part of 2 decades. And in 2012, the big Springbok prop just had enough. By the 63rd minute, Big Dean was infuriated. The Boks were going nowhere.
And yep, that was silly stuff.
A straight elbow to the face. My guy was lucky to cop a yellow. But after the match, the disciplined boys topped it up with a 2-week suspension. But Richie got up. The All Blacks won, proving that iron doesn't break, it doesn't even bend. Now, speaking of players breaking, David Wallace didn't have the same experience. Let's back up for a second. Manu Tuilagi is that guy you hate to face. He's a prop with the speed of a winger, and for some reason they let him play at 13. He's a powerful runner, but an even better defender. It's 2011. England played a warm-up game against Ireland, just weeks before the Rugby World Cup. Everyone is looking forward to beating the All Blacks, and Wallace was certainly looking to make a statement. But Manu had different plans. First, there was this high tackle. Referee already playing advantage, but as Ireland went wide, Tuilagi was waiting.
Good hands from Darcy to Wallace, who started it all.
Man down. Wallace is out. The end of his World Cup dreams, and even though he might not have made a difference, Ireland did fail at the World Cup once again. It's like they're cursed or something. But if you've ever seen something crazy, what the hell was George North doing? Now, my man Izzy is definitely a controversial figure. Some hate him, some love him, but the man stands for what he believes in.
His homophobic comments have caused outrage, and today, rugby star Israel Folau finally faced the music, told his career as a Wallaby was over.
Yeah, he got banned for standing up for himself. But before that, in 2013, the British and Irish Lions toured Australia. You know, that team you only see once every 4 years. But this was different. The Lions won the first test and looked to seal the series, but in the 60th minute, the ball went loose. The ref was playing advantage, but my guy George was still playing on. That's when Izzy tried to tackle him. Northie was having none of it. He just picked him up, threw him on his back like he was heading to school with a backpack. I mean, Izzy is a 100 kg full-grown man, and he was strapped up like a rucksack. That's a true testament of strength, from a winger nonetheless. So what did we learn from today's rugby lesson? When a man is called a caveman, a bone collector, or a bus, you better stay home and enjoy your tea. Just watch the game on the telly, mate. Now let that sink in, have a coffee, and if you have any more capacity left, check out what happens when rugby players lose control. And as always, see you in the next one.